Welcome to the Slumgullion Center Conceptual Plan. My name is Zach Dutra, and today I'll be walking you through my Masters of Environmental Management project. This story begins just west of the Continental Divide at Western Colorado University in the city of Gunnison. An hour south of Gunnison is the town of Lake City, and just outside Lake City is the Slumgullion earth flow. Now, this unique geologic feature occurred as a landslide roughly 800 years ago. And it's worth mentioning that it's referred to as an earth flow and not a landslide because it's still moving, measured in centimeters per day at some locations. The initial landslide dammed what is known today as the Lake Fork of the Gunnison River, forming Lake San Cristobal. This is where Lake City gets its name. And finally, way down on the toe of the earth flow lies 58 acres of undeveloped private property owned by the Lake Fork Valley Conservancy. This is the site of the Slumgullion Center. Like most small mountain towns in Colorado, Lake City's roots are in mining. And of course, anytime you mention Lake City, you have to mention the infamous Alfred Packer, the first person convicted of cannibalism in the United States. But I'm pleased to report Lake City has moved on from this savage history to become a peaceful town where the people are proud of their home and the landscape that surrounds it. The Lake Fork Valley Conservancy is a non-profit organization that charged me with the task of drafting a conceptual plan for what the Slumgullion Center will look like. This plan will cover the center's mission and purpose, site layout, programs and services and amenities that we can offer. As you'll see over the next few slides, the LFVC has an impressive resume, yet many people still don't really know what they do. The Slumgullion Center will give the LFVC an opportunity to increase their public image and in turn, further their organizational mission. Surrounding Lake City, the San Juan Mountains are a place of rugged beauty. Alpine and tundra ecosystems live high above crystal clear lakes and streams. It is the largest mountain range by area in the state of Colorado and home to 13 peaks that rise above 14,000 feet. The landscape of the Slumgullion earthflow is unique, designated as an area of critical environmental concern by the Bureau of Land Management and as a Colorado natural area under the Colorado Parks and Wildlife. It was thought that the topography was formed by glaciation or avalanches, but it was actually the cannibal Alfred Packer who was the first to describe the feature properly, when he admitted he had left his victims near a landslide of yellowish clay. The earthflow is one of the most studied in the world, providing valuable insight into the behavior of landslides. The first U.S. Geologic Survey report dates back to 1874, and USGS survey is ongoing to this day. People travel from all over the world to immerse themselves in the numerous outdoor recreation opportunities of this area, and this has become the livelihood for the locals, but not without concern. Sometimes you'll hear land managers say a place is being loved to death. This means that human impacts are reaching an unsustainable level and threatening the ecosystem. So as recreation tourism increases across the board in the San Juans, one user group requires a closer look. Off-highway vehicles, or OHVs, have been the subject of a recent dispute. Since mining died, the landscape has been Lake City's most valuable resource. It's what the tourists come to experience, regardless of the activity. Human impacts pose the biggest threat to this resource, and OHVs have the largest human impact. In spite of this, the people voted and OHVs will continue to be allowed on Lake City streets. But it wasn't long after this vote that one particular OHV driver decided to show the internet exactly why OHVs are a topic of debate. But this quote, coming from a pro-OHV website, shows that even those who support the ruling do not support degradation of the landscape. For a better understanding of the conflict, let's look at some data gathered by MEM alumni Kendall Cox. The numbers speak for themselves, with over double the population passing through town every day during summer months. The obvious next question is, how does this translate to the local economy? Sales tax revenue has increased more than 6% per year since OHVs were allowed in town, and sales tax accounts for roughly 1/3 of total revenue. How does this fit into the context of this project? It's an opportunity to curtail a threat before it becomes a problem. And with over 130,000 visitors per year, we can add another recreation category to the list of targeted user groups. Now that you know a bit about the project, here's a summary of my work over the past year. My first task was to verify the property boundaries, which meant locating cadastral survey markers and updating old maps. I ended up spending a lot of time on site last summer, getting to know the land and starting to build my own vision for the Slumgullion Center. But it wasn't my vision alone that counted. It involved Camille Richard and the rest of the LFVC board. We held a series of strategic planning meetings to brainstorm about everything from site layout, programs to offer, to purposes to serve and goals to accomplish. I was starting to hone in on a vision that was full of lofty goals and big dreams. But was it realistic? I took a road trip around the western slope to find out, touring and interviewing organizations along the way. This research was compiled into a presentation for the LFVC board, part of which is shown to you here. I highlighted the successful aspects of these organizations and took note of what didn't work so well. I learned some tools to maximize our assets and tips on how we can avoid early pitfalls. This information would give us valuable insight into the realm of possibilities for the Slumgullion Center. After the presentation, I surveyed the board to gauge their interests. I used 2 open-ended questions, allowing space for them to respond anonymously, free of peer influence, and without time or length constraint. These were followed by a 3rd ranking survey question that would provide some visual data, which you see here. At this point, I knew where the board's interests were and had the insight I needed to draft the conceptual plan. The booklet layout you see is designed to be distributed in both print and digital format and will eventually be used as part of a capital campaign. I don't have time to discuss every page, but I'll cover the key points. On this layout map, I'll draw your attention first to the Slumgullion headquarters. This central building will be the Welcome Center, complete with interactive interpretive kiosks. It will have a communal kitchen and bathhouse for guests, and it will become the LFVC's permanent office. This site also contains a building for maintenance equipment and research facilities, as well as a bunk tent and a treehouse lookout. Next to the headquarters are 5 yurts and 10 campsites for overnight guests, complete with a composting toilet and dog park. From here you can access the interpretive trail system that leads to the observatory pad, riverside picnic area, and Lake Fork overlook. This site will be the main attraction of the Slumgullion Center, with a 30-foot yurt, an events tent, and an amphitheater looking down on Argenta Falls. We can host interpretive talks, live music, special ceremonies, and more, rain or shine. The rest of the booklet is a menu of programs, designed around the property's geographical assets, market research, and the LFVC's mission. This conceptual plan aims to capture the Slumgullion Center's mission and purposes, which include education, stewardship, recreation, and research. The first next step for the site this summer is securing the property boundary with a fence and clearing deadfall. From there, we can work on infrastructure such as trails, tent sites, and the amphitheater. The organizational goal is to begin marketing and launch a capital campaign. In fact, Camille and I presented this preliminary concept brochure to the Hinsdale County Board of Tourism in February, and I'm pleased to say it was received with praise and excitement. And so Lake City marches into the future, and I take comfort knowing that the Lake Fork Valley Conservancy will be there to protect the landscape and the livelihoods of the beautiful San Juan Mountains. I hope to see you at the Slumgullion Center soon, and thank you for watching.